Hello and welcome to the London Club, and this video in which we're going to take a look at the 5 golf rules that are surprisingly vague. Now, there are certain rules in the book that are very clearly black and white, and there are a few others where there's a little bit of a grey area, and it's there for a very good reason. And we're going to talk about exactly what those are in this video. I'm joined by golf rules expert Fergus Bisset. And finally, this video is being sponsored by our very good friends at HelloFresh. We have an amazing offer for anyone watching this video, and more on that later. Right, let's get started. Now, Fergus, for this one, we're going to talk about advice. And advice is a term that you will see within the rules of golf, but there is a little bit of, I think, something around it that would leave people feeling a little unsure at times. Yep. Tell me, what constitutes advice? And more importantly, I think, what are the things that people need to watch out for?
Okay, good. This is Rule 10.2a, which deals with advice. Now, a player is not allowed to give advice to other players in the competition, nor is a player allowed to ask advice from anybody other than their caddy. Now, advice is a comment or an action that would influence a player in the way that they either selected a club or chose to play the
shot
or play the
So me telling you here, this is a 150 odd yard par 3 over water, it's difficult. Yeah. Me telling you I've just hit an 8 iron, I'm going to get a penalty for that.
You would be receiving a general penalty.
Subtly showed you the bottom of the golf club?
I'm afraid you would also be in contravention of 10.2a there. Yeah, okay. You can't show me. Now, I would not be allowed to ask you what club you've hit. I could, however, before we played the hole, say, oh, remember the 4th hole, roughly the same length? What club did you hit there?
Right, that seems a bit odd that you can do that, but you can't ask what club I've hit.
It does seem quite odd. There's, I would be allowed to have a little look in your bag and say, the 8 iron's missing, you must have hit an 8 iron here. But I'm not allowed to move that out of the way.
Don't be touching my equipment.
You're in contravention of the rule if you touch a player's equipment or clubs.
Yeah, interesting.
And another thing about what I said, that you can ask your caddy, a spectator might give you some advice.
Not me, I don't have very many spectators.
If they did, you wouldn't receive a penalty in that instance. However, you would have to encourage them to not give you any further advice. If they continued to give you advice as you went round and you hadn't discouraged them from doing that, you would breach 10.2a and receive the general penalty.
Interesting.
There. So there's some quite, things you've got to watch out for.
Subtle differences between what you can and can't do here. The sort of thing that could really catch you out. If you're playing in competition, just be very careful of that. Make sure you aren't going out of your way to ask advice of any of your playing partners. Now, this one refers to wind direction. And Fergus, we're all used to throwing up a few blades of grass to figure out what the wind's doing. There is some wind, it's just going over there.
Yeah.
But there's some things here that you're not allowed to do, aren't there? Explain to us what you can and can't do around wind direction and making that judgment call.
This is Rule 4.3a, which is to do with allowed and prohibited use of equipment. You're not allowed to use a piece of equipment that artificially eliminates the requirement for essential skill or judgment within golf.
Right, okay.
Now, throwing up grass, that's fine. Grass isn't equipment, it's grass.
That's good to know.
However, there are 4.3a Part 2 deals with wind direction, and it says there are certain things that you can't do. If for some reason you had some powder with you, I don't know why you might, some talcum powder.
I don't have any talcum powder with me
That
today.
would be part of your equipment, and if you threw that in the air to assess which way the wind was going, there would be a penalty there.
Right, okay.
And you are not, if you have a hanky in your pocket, you're not allowed to wave that.
Use it like a flag and just figure out what the...
Or if you happen to have a ribbon in your bag, which again, I don't know, you may do, you're not allowed to use that.
Right, okay.
So you've got to be quite careful with what you're doing, and you would receive the general penalty if you tested the wind in one of those ways, with an artificial object.
Yeah.
If you did it again, you'd be disqualified.
2 shots or out, so quite harsh. Now, that leads me to asking the question then, what about rangefinders? Because my rangefinder, as most do, has a slope to it. So if I was zapping this hole, I know not to use slope in competition.
Yeah, okay.
The hole that we're playing here is a par 3. It's definitely down. It's probably down 10 yards or so. Why is it that I can have the yardage through this,
right,
but I can't have the slope as well?
The reason is because the yardages are publicly available information. The yardage is something that you will be given on.
Yes, I can see
Absolutely.
Down there, yeah.
However, you have to use your judgment to decide how much the slope here would impact that yardage. And if you use a device to tell you that, that's in contravention of that rule of prohibited use of equipment.
Good advice. And I'm going to throw in an extra piece of advice. When you're playing golf, just make sure that your slope is turned off before you start if you're playing in competition, because that could definitely catch you out. Oh, that's a bit dicey over there. I was over there the other week. That's not very good. I think I'm going to have to play another one.
Okay.
Now, Ferg, I know from experience, from having done this with you before, having spoken about this subject before, that when you have to hit a provisional ball, you need to be quite prescriptive, I'd say, about what you're about to do. Is that fair?
That is fair. 18.3, which is a provisional ball, 18.3b says that you need to make it clear to your playing partners that you are playing a provisional ball. If you don't make it clear that you're playing a provisional ball, then this ball that you're about to hit will automatically become the ball in play.
Even if mine is sitting in the rough, no problem.
Exactly.
So what I just said then, which was, oh, that's dicey over there, I think I'm going to have to play another. Is that good enough, or is that not good enough?
That's not good enough.
Do I have to say I need to play a provisional?
You have to. Technically, the rules would like you to say that you must play, that you're going to play a provisional.
Right. And then here's where the sort of uncertainty kicks
Some uncertainty, because if you said, I'm going to play another one just in case, that suggests that you're playing a provisional ball. That's good enough.
Because of the doubt.
Because of the doubt. And if you said, I'm going to play another one under Rule 18.3, if you're a real rules buff,
my rules knowledge
then that would be okay.
I like it.
Another thing would be that, perhaps not on the tee, but say that you were down in the fairway and your playing partners were somewhere else. If you required to play a provisional ball at that point, you wouldn't be able to tell them before you hit the shot.
Am I not shouting across the fairway?
No, you wouldn't need to do that. You would play your provisional, and then you would go to your partners and say, I have played a provisional ball.
Okay.
Now, there's some uncertainty about the wording here. My advice, and the rules advice, is always just categorically state, I am playing a provisional ball.
Right. Well, Fergus, I'm playing a provisional ball.
Correct. And you might want to play it.
Right, we're going to take a quick break from talking about the rules of golf for a word from our sponsors at HelloFresh. When I'm not on the golf course trying and usually failing actually to put together a decent score, then one of my responsibilities is to try and cook for myself and my family. But finding recipes that are fresh and that are varied, that everybody likes, is a real challenge. But that's exactly where HelloFresh can come to the rescue. It is a meal kit delivery service. All you have to do is head over to the website, you choose from a whole host of different recipes, and then what arrives at your door is a pre-portioned set of ingredients that all you have to do is cook. It should save you time, it should save you money, and it should also save you on the food waste as well. Now, I can assure you, I am no great chef, but even I am capable of turning these ingredients into this. And let me tell you, this is pretty tasty, even if I did cook it myself. Now, we have an amazing offer for anyone watching this video. Simply scan the QR code that's on the screen now, or head over to the HelloFresh website and enter the discount code GolfM6020, and you will receive 60% off your first order and 20% off all orders in the first 2 months. Plus, you will also get free desserts for life. Now that sounds pretty good, and it means that you won't have to worry too much about what's going on in the kitchen, and you can focus much more on your golf. Okay, so I have hit my tee shot on the 14th hole here at the London Club into this position in here. Now, I know that, Fergus, this is an immovable obstruction, but the golf rules are slightly vague in this scenario, and I'll tell you why. Because the green is over your left shoulder, just over there. Yeah. The fairway is behind me, behind my back, the nearest point to the fairway. And I would be doing everything I could, I think, to be getting a free drop from here by coming along and saying I was going to hit a 4-iron onto the green from this position.
Yeah.
Now tell me, as my personal referee, that that's perfectly acceptable.
I would seriously question you. 16.1a part 3 says that you will not be entitled to relief if it is clearly unreasonable.
Right. So you think this shot with a 4-iron is clearly
Well,
unreasonable?
basically, you would get a relief if you were taking a shot that you meant you were going to be taking anyway, and the immovable obstruction affected either the lie of the ball, your stance, as it would do in this case,
Yes.
Or the swing path. Now, you have to be honest about the type of shot that you would realistically be taking on from here. Now, I can see that if you aim down that line, you're hitting over rough and trees.
For about 100 yards.
Your ball is buried thick in the rough. There is no way you would be taking on that shot.
So realistically, I would be chipping it back out.
Everyone would be chipping
here
it back out, which means
onto the fairway, which means I'm now not standing on the path.
Exactly. So you would not be entitled to free relief, and that would be the honest way. And a referee in competition would say that. So in amateur golf, you just have to be honest.
Even if I pleaded.
I think even if you pleaded, they would just say, "There's
Please,
no,
look,
right, go on, you have a go at that shot. I want to see it. I'm going to stand up
All right,
here.
I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
I'm going to prove you wrong. Here we go.
Yeah.
I can get a 4-iron out.
I mean, but you're just going to hit it straight into the rough.
I'm not. Oh my God.
Well, that ball will never be seen again. I mean, it was just unreasonable. It was an unreasonable situation.
Okay, so we have another scenario for you where the rules of golf are a little bit vague, purposefully vague, Fergus.
Yeah.
Now, the scenario for you is that I've hit my shot from over here, just to playing down the right-hand side of the hole. The ball's gone over the crest of the hill. We've both seen it go over the crest of the hill, and we know there's water, and we know there's a penalty area down here. Now, I was hoping against hope that I might find my ball sitting on this grass here, but I haven't found it. It's gone in there, or at least we're virtually certain it's gone in there. Explain to me how we need to proceed in that scenario.
Well, yeah, this is known or virtually certain. This is a term that's used in the modern rules quite a bit, and it is the standard for deciding what has happened to a player's ball. Has it gone in a penalty area? Has it been moved? How was it moved? Those sorts of situations. Now, here, I think we can be virtually certain, and in the definitions of the rules, that's being 95% sure. So 19 times out of 20, the ball will have come over the crest of the hill. The fact that it's not here means it's in there. Okay, 1 in 1,000 times a seagull's picked up your ball.
Unlikely, highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
We're virtually certain, we are 95% at least sure that the ball's gone in the penalty area, and you would take relief accordingly from a red penalty area.
And in this scenario, it's fairly clear. It's very clear. However, if what we were standing on here was heavy, thick, fescue, the sort that you're struggling to find your golf ball in anyway, that's where virtually certain in the rules, the terminology really kicks in, because can you be virtually certain that your ball's gone in there? It may well have done, but you can't be sure, can you?
Probably not. And in that case, I think you wouldn't be able to say that you were 95% sure that what has happened, you think has happened. You could well be in the thick grass. In that instance, you would have to search for your ball and have your 3-minute search, and if you couldn't find it, I think you would have to go back and play again.
Probably feeling a little bit hard done by, but better feeling hard done by than potentially breaking the rules and causing any sorts of issues for yourself.
Correct.
So there you have it. If you are unsure about whether your ball might have gone in, if you're not virtually certain, then it's best just to go back and hit another. So there you have it. That's our look at the 5 golf rules that are surprisingly vague. Hopefully Fergus's explanations there have helped you whenever you find yourself in any of those scenarios. If you're unsure about anything, please do leave some comments below. We'll get back to as many of you as we can. And of course, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. But thanks for watching. We will see you next time.